Evening, guys. I'm here coming to you straight from my kitchen after completing a bulk cooking for this week. We'll check in on my macros and how I did last week a little later, but I first wanted to show you what I have set up for us for this next week, just to ease my time schedule and make everything available. I found last week that without doing the prep, it became a scramble to get enough food. Then I had to calc all the calories, and then didn't have time to do that, so I just eat something junky. It wasn't effective. So this week I have prepped everything. I started at about 12 and it's almost 7, so it does take a long time. That did include portioning and cleaning up. It's manageable as long as I commit to scheduling this. Which for now I am going to be doing that. All right, so we'll start with my breakfast, which is what I call my hormone boosting shake, and I've talked to you guys about this before, but I wanted to walk you through the actual products. So I'll start with roughly 2 cups of frozen greens, and at the beginning of the month I will go to any organic produce store and buy collards and chard and cilantro and parsley and kale and watercress and dandelion and sometimes radicchio, sometimes broccoli sprouts, any combination of nutrient-dense greens that I can grab, I will bring home, wash, chop, and throw in the freezer. And I just have them for the rest of the month, and I can grab 2 cups at any time. Now, I don't mix all the greens together because I like to get some variety. So I just kind of rotate through my bags and go like that. Now, if I am doing cilantro and parsley, those are too intense to have 2 cups. Your shake would be horrible. So I will throw about 1/3 cup, 1/2 cup into each shake and just rotate the other greens. So that's my base. And I just throw that straight into water. And then I will add 2 tablespoons of flax seeds. This has been helpful for my hormones. I was almost menopausal after having Lyme when I was about 26, 27, and through diet, predominantly. They tried to put me on hormones, this made me sick, I got off. Through predominantly diet, I have been able to bring my hormones back to a lowish but still healthy level. So when I take these, I feel so much better. So keep that in mind if you have hormone issues. This would be cocoa powder. This is Brian Johnson's, and it is high in flavonoids or flavanols. I also just love chocolate in anything. I'll even put it in like soups and curries at times. So I add about 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon. I don't do this every day as it can trigger eczema, but when my body tolerates it, I add it and I love it. This would be Brian Johnson's longevity mix. Spoke about this before as well, but it raised my HRV or heart rate variability 4 points. And I track that every night through my Oura Ring, which would be this one right here. So very happy with this product. The next thing I add, and this would be where you're getting some protein, this would be your Love Sweat Fitness Natural Beauty. It's marine collagen along with several other vitamins, including DIM. I continue to use that after testing positive to need DIM years and years ago. All right, this has also raised my HRV. It's Kion Aminos. I love this stuff. Now, I wish it had less stevia. I will put that out there. I've tried, they have a completely plain variation. That was good. I still prefer the mango better as it tastes less chalky, but the health benefits of this are phenomenal. And my fingers are crossed that it is going to help my hair grow again. So I love this stuff. It definitely gives me more energy. I've just given this to my husband to get him on this as well. So we'll see if he has feedback at some point. Matcha. I do not do well with any form of coffee, including decaf. This is a brand that my body loves. I never react, I never get shaky from it. Yeah, it's just plain matcha. I use about 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon every day. Well, when I have my shake. Sometimes I'll just have eggs, but this is what I do best on. And then the last would be a beautiful, beautiful formulation of vitamin C. I have tried so many vitamin C's, and this one comes from fruit and berries, and my body absolutely loves it. I add it to boost my immune system, but also it helps you absorb the nutrients from this amazing shake. So that's what I tend to eat in the morning. The other thing that I will eat, and I actually am having my daughter do this too, is I do about a teaspoon of Brian Johnson's olive oil. Doesn't have to be Brian Johnson's, but it tastes so good. Again, I'm kind of a snob with olive oil. This one is amazing. I combine that with the juice of half a lemon and I just drink it like a shot. I was having some kidney issues. This reversed it. I don't know how, I don't know why, it did. I love it. The olive oil is also phenomenal for skin health and inflammation, like improving inflammation. So I do that. Now, my husband tends to be more of an egg guy or a grab and go protein shake guy in the morning. So I have some really good brands of protein shakes that are low sugar, have about 20 grams of protein per pop. I have those in the fridge for him. I cooked him some no nitrate chicken sausage. I don't do a lot of pork. I'm not necessarily against it, but I grab chicken when I can. I throw some extra garlic on there. So he's got his options of protein drinks ready or eggs and sausage. My daughter doesn't like any of that. So I bought her his bread, and it is, the brand is Bread Seriously. And it is seriously the healthiest bread I have ever found. It's gluten-free and has almost nothing else in it, and is cultured traditionally, so it has all those benefits. And you can buy it in little sandwich rolls and cut them in half, and one morning she might throw on olive oil and lots of garlic and oregano and roast it, make a garlic bread and have it on the side of like a couple pieces of turkey bacon. Or she might slice it and put macadamia nut butter or walnut butter or pistachio butter or whatever. We don't really do peanut butter. We do the other nut butters, and then she'll sprinkle like cinnamon on it. Either way, it is a lovely bread, and I react to every bread out there, but I can eat a piece or so of this a couple times a week, once a week, and I'm totally fine. So I love that stuff. Moving on to lunches. So for me, I talked about, I think it was last week, I am low iron and I react when I take an iron supplement. So I am leaning pretty heavily on things like bison, and then I take a supplement called lactoferrin, which helps you bind the iron. But to make a long story short, I am going to be eating bison almost every day. And I found the best place to get it is Costco. It's just ground bison, super easy to work with, tastes phenomenal, is not gamey whatsoever. It's lighter than beef and it's a softer texture, if that makes sense. It's less chewy. So I love it. And I just pile it with cumin and garlic and paprika and what else? I roasted tomatoes and bell peppers and onions with a little bit of avocado oil, and then I roasted that all together and I mixed it with bone broth and let it simmer. It is a lovely flavor and runs about 275 calories per serving. And I also threw some lime in there to get some zest to it. And I just steamed broccoli and cauliflower and have that bison on top of the broccoli and cauliflower. And then I top it with a bunch of fresh cilantro. I love it. My husband and daughter are not as big of fans. So for them, I do have the taco meat separately. They can throw it on sprouted corn tortillas or eat it with Siete chips. I love that brand. We also have like a fresh salsa in the fridge. I also keep on hand for my husband things like, there's some really good brands of jarred bone broth soup. We have that in the pantry. We also have like a higher quality frozen burrito with either steak or chicken, so he's getting protein. And then I keep on hand nitrate-free lunch meats, either turkey or pastrami or ham. roast beef, whatever they're wanting, that's what's on hand. And then for my daughter, I will make her eat some of the bison a couple times a week to support her iron levels as well, and then some broccoli and cauliflower. But then she will also take like a nitrate-free pepperoni, some Siete chips or some Good Crisps, and then maybe Lily's chocolate or berries and nuts, and that's kind of her school lunch. As far as drinks, these are our new favorite, just from Trader Joe's, the pomegranate, super low sugar, yummy and inexpensive. Those are fun to have with lunch. All right, let's move to dinner. And this by far takes the most time. And kind of what I've been doing for the last couple months is we'll have 3 different main dishes, right, that have to last the week. So I will make enough for a couple meals out of those 3 main dishes. And then I portion it out, so all we have to do that night is grab the dish, eat, and throw it in the dishwasher. It makes our week so much smoother. A lot of times I have household help me. This week my household help is gone, so I did everything. So I'll just go through the options that we're working with this week. And I assign what we're eating that night. It's not like just go grab whatever you want. We have specific things on specific nights, just so it's a bit more like a sit-down dinner. But for this week, we have one night of a bone broth, shredded chicken, white bean, chili soup. I threw in some onions and some cauliflower and cannelli beans and chili peppers. I cooked the chicken separately and then threw that all in the crock pot and cooked it for about 6 hours on high. It's pretty spicy, but it's really good if you had it cold, which we were fighting. The other spices I added, besides an enormous amount of garlic and sea salt, is dill. And dill actually has quercetin in it. Dill is really good for those suffering with allergies. I love the taste in it too. I think next time I would like to add greens because there's not much color to the soup, maybe like spinach, something like that, but it tastes good. The next meal we have is a curry chicken that I poured on top of a base of steamed broccoli, carrots, and potatoes. The curried chicken, I started with sauteing a bunch of onions, 3 large onions, in a decent amount of olive oil. Usually I prefer cooking on high heat with something like coconut or avocado oil. Tonight I had olive oil, so that's what we used. Once the onions are wonderful and sweet and caramelized, I go ahead and stir in a starch. I do not use anything gluten-based. This would be the starch I use. It's arrowroot. I tend to react, as does my daughter, to tapioca, which is a typical starch people use when they're gluten-free. Arrowroot we have no issue with. So I mix that in along with the spices of curry and garlic and ginger and lemon and what else? Sometimes I'll add some dates in there for sweetness. And then I just let it simmer until it's thick and bubbly and wonderful with about, I think we did 9 cups of bone broth. So you're getting extra protein there as well. So this is a delicious dish that we all love. And then the last dinner dish would be our chicken enchiladas. And I also do not cook with dairy. I think dairy can, for a lot of people, promote inflammation. So my husband and daughter love it, and they'll buy it and they eat it, which I kind of go, whatever. I just don't cook with it. So the filling would be a shredded chicken that I coated heavily in numerous spices, paprika, garlic, chili, what else? Cumin, oregano, I can't remember, but there's more. And then I shredded it finely, and then it has some white beans. When you're not cooking with cheese in an enchilada, it can get dry. And I find if you use black beans, they're not soft enough. So I find if you use a softer bean, it will have a similar consistency, not quite, but a similar consistency to actual enchiladas. And then to add further moisture and bulk it up without adding a lot of calories, I throw in an enormous amount of grated zucchini, but I squeeze it first to get rid of the water. That makes it more creamy and less watery. And then for the sauce, I roasted, about 6 poblano peppers, along with an onion, an entire head of fresh garlic, what else? A pound of tomatoes. I roasted that with some olive oil, and then I blended it in my Vitamix with bone broth until it was like the consistency you're looking for. And then you just roll the tortillas in the sauce, roll up the meat, and then I sprinkled more sauce on the top, baked it for probably 20 minutes, and then topped it with cherry tomatoes and green onions. Each of the dinners is worth roughly 550 calories. So while that might be a little too much for my daughter, it might not be quite enough for my husband. I keep them this portion size because my daughter can give her leftovers to dad, and then Michael can throw on avocado, or if he wants cheese. The other thing is they will snack after dinner. So if we keep the portion sizes this amount, it leaves room for the snacking while keeping calorie counts in check. So this is kind of the big picture of what I did today. One exciting thing I just wanted to touch base with you on my calories last week. I roughly hit about 1,300, between 13 and 1,400. And I have lost a couple pounds. So I'm thrilled, I'm loving this. And one trick I found is if you are really craving a specific food, I still crave chocolate. I don't know why, I just do. If I up my magnesium, I crave it less, but I'm still craving it. So chocolate is pretty calorically dense. So if I am eating chocolate, I will skip one of these meals, usually a breakfast or lunch, because breakfast and lunch are lower calories. Dinner is higher. So I'll skip usually lunch if I'm gonna eat chocolate and just eat 2/3 of a bar of Lily's chocolate, which is no sugar, high in polyphenols and flavonoids, and just call it a day. It gives you energy, it tastes great. So that's the other option is, try to keep it healthy, but you can substitute when you need to. The other thing I found out is I went out to eat. The calories eating out are so much higher. I had to skip about 1.5 meals to make up for that one meal of eating out, which wasn't even that much food. So I think a rule of thumb I'm gonna have is if I am gonna eat out, don't eat beforehand. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. So, and then it's more expensive to eat out. It doesn't matter how healthy the restaurant is. You cannot beat homemade food. You can't. It's so much healthier than any restaurant I have ever been to. So yeah, that's a wrap on this week. I love having you guys with me. I'm gonna put all this stuff away and go relax and watch some TV and take a walk before we start on Monday. All right, have a great week. Bye-bye.